state that he'll be absent but coming in at a later time to join?
Yep, absolutely. And then I just started the recording, so if he needs, you know, we can get him the recording of the first part of the meeting that he missed.
Okay.
Have we officially appointed him to the committee?
That was made active. I believe it was under my impression, but made active immediately by way of your email, Karen. So
okay, that I
yep.
sent today, because agenda has me still. So
Oh,
you want
right,
to,
of course, Karen, because that was the one that we published. You know, when you were still the chair and vice president.
okay.
So
Hopefully-
legally, I don't think it has any difference. I defer to Council Attorney Palmer,
Okay.
though.
This my system. I don't know what is happening here.
Karen, do you want me to open the meeting then?
Yeah, if you open up the meeting, then you need to acknowledge the other council members, and then it's sure. And I talked with Troy. There's something that they said that they can't connect me.
Oh, you're echoing. Graham, you may have to let me know.
Sorry, Karen's microphone was
Yeah.
providing quite hefty feedback. Yeah, you were saying?
Oh, since I can't see everybody, you may have to let me know what other council members are in attendance. Once
Oh,
I
sure.
call.
Yep. Let me just double check too. I'm gonna pull up.
Is Councilman Davis here?
I do not see Councilmember Davis in the lobby.
Sharon McBride?
One moment. Oh, sorry.
Well, I'll just call the committee and let you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Niskoski, after
Yes.
the committee members have been recognized, and any other council members, then you want to recognize Council Member Troy Warner, Rachel Thomas Morgan, and then after the mayor gives his statement, then you turn it over to Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan for introductions and an overview.
Okay, so the mayor is going to speak first.
Yes, is that right, Troy?
So you're not
mayor's gonna
here,
give
you're not
first.
doing the introduction of topics?
No, that, you know, if I was going to chair the meeting, then I would just open up the meeting. And then after formally open the meeting, committee members, then, you know, I was going to thank the three of you. Then the mayor would give a statement. Then it'll be turned over to Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan to give an overview and introduce the panels.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, well,
So
should
you
I?
get feedback
I'm
from me?
sorry, who's who's introducing the panel? Or I'll give an overview.
You give an overview and introduce the panelists.
Hey, everybody.
By panels, Troy, we mean the topics or?
David, you're echoing.
Yeah, we can just also do a kind of overview of the topics. And we'll just introduce each speaker when we get to that topic.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay, it's
I'll
now
let you ladies-
5:31.
I'll let you ladies handle the meeting.
Okay. Okay, I would like to bring the Residential Neighborhoods Committee meeting to order. It is now 5:31. I would like to take a roll call of the committee members present. Vice President Kenneth Lee is absent at this time, but he will be joining us a little later this evening. Chairperson Sheila Niskoski, I am present. Council Member Henry Davis Jr. Council Member Henry Davis Jr.
Chair Niskoski, this is Grant from the clerk's office. I don't see Henry in the lobby at this point in time. I'll be sure to notify you upon his presence.
Okay, thank you. And Council Member Sharon McBride.
As well, I do not see her presence in the lobby. Oh, yep, yes she is.
So you have a quorum.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. Graham, do you see any other council members that are present?
Yes, we have council member, just going down alphabetically. We have council member Lori K. Hammond.
Okay.
Lori, are you here?
I'm here.
Great. We got council member Rachel Tomas Morgan.
Okay.
And we have council member Troy Warner.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I would like to recognize Rachel Tomas Morgan, council member, and council member Troy Warner for their work and effort on helping to get together the rental resources town hall for this evening. And I believe at this time, we will have a statement from Mayor James Mueller, at which when he finishes, we will turn that back over to Rachel, council member Rachel Tomas Morgan, for the introduction of the topic and the panelists. Mayor Mueller, are you here?
Good evening, Councilmember Nizgotsky.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for hosting this town hall and all the attendees for joining. And I also want to thank council members Rachel Tomas Morgan, Troy Warner, you, Sheila Nizgotsky, and Karen White for setting up this important meeting. Unfortunately, this is at a critical time because unfortunately the governor's moratorium is set to expire soon, and hopefully it'll be extended. But if not, we've really got to get moving here because this also comes at a time when the federal unemployment assistance that had been coming through could also lapse, at least temporarily. We hope Congress will act, but even if they act today or tomorrow, which it doesn't look like, there would still be some sort of lapse in that program. So got to figure out a way to bridge to when hope Congress acts and make a bridge to when the relief actually arrives here for our residents. And so if folks are having trouble making rent or utility payments, there's a number of programs that are going to be discussed tonight to help you through these difficult times. And we encourage everyone to look at the state rental assistance program at indianahousingnow.org. And the city and other organizations have worked to utilize CARES Act funding, the first round of congressional stimulus dollars, to help with these programs here locally. And you'll be hearing from those local agencies and organizations in a little bit. But encourage you also to take a look at a summary of the programs by visiting southbendin.gov/rent. So with that, I appreciate this event. It's timely, and thank you, council members and community members. And I see Amanda over there also for putting this together and making sure our residents have the resources they need to make it through this difficult time. So thank you.
Committee Chair Nizgotsky, I'll take this opportunity, this grant from the clerk's office, to both notify you that you were on mute for most of that portion after the mayor spoke. Also, as a point of information, Councilmember Davis has entered the lobby.
Thank you, Graham. That's what I was going to acknowledge. Councilmember Henry Davis is with us. So at this point, I would like to introduce Councilwoman Rachel Tomas Morgan.
Thank you, Chair Nizgotsky. Thank you, Mayor, for your comments. I'd like also to thank the Council's Residential Neighborhood Committee for hosting this town hall, and especially thank Councilman Troy Warner for his work organizing the myriad of details to have this town hall. So thank you all. Just for a bit of context, I wanted to share with everyone that Council members Sheila Nizgotsky, Troy Warner, and myself have been convening over the past few months with city staff and with legal and rental assistance providers to coordinate efforts and resources to assist those in our community at risk of eviction due to the coronavirus pandemic. So since COVID hit our community, we've been in a series of discussions, and it's just been a privilege and an honor working with this impressive group of individuals who care deeply about our community. Many of them will be speaking at tonight's town hall, but there are many who won't be speaking who are also a part of those discussions. This really is a great example of all of us working together, the council with the mayor and the administration and providers in our community to coordinate resources. In doing so, we aim to heed the tsunami of evictions that we know will be occurring at the end of this month and in the months to come that could result in more homeless in our community. We are working together to keep people in their homes. And this prevention program is just one important component of a community's crisis response in a pandemic like this. And also such efforts help to reduce the size of a community's homeless population. So I just want to thank everyone who has been a part of these months of discussion and all our agencies for the assistance and resources that we are providing for our community. With that, the topics that we will be discussing today, we'll be turning it over shortly to hear from stories of renters, and then to hear a bit about the South Bend Tenant Association and their mission and services that they provide to our community. We will then be addressed by South Bend Code Enforcement and introducing the new landlord registry. And then we'll move into talking about the rental and utility assistance that's being provided in addition to the legal assistance. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman Morgan. And I would like to bring a point of order. I believe that I forgot to recognize our new council president, Karen White, is also here with us in attendance. So my apologies for that oversight. Okay, so from here we will introduce Amanda Governor-Knopf. Did I say that properly?
It's Govert Conrath, but that's okay.
Oh, I am so sorry.
No, you're fine. No worries. I'm used to it. So first, I just wanted to say thank you to our council for including tenants in this conversation. So often we are left out of decisions that affect our daily lives. So I really appreciate the fact that you all have reached out. We did reach out to some other tenants to speak this evening, but a lot of them that I've spoken to fear the social stigma of speaking out about their financial situation, as well as repercussions against them from landlords and things of that nature. So, but I know that I'm not alone in every day speaking to residents who fear losing their home. They've reached out to me via Facebook, Twitter, they call me and ask what resources are available. So that's why this town hall is so important. A lot of people are afraid of what's coming next. And for vulnerable tenants, it's really important that they know that they have access to resources, financial, and even just someone who listens to them when they're going through this. So I'm here right now to share some quick stories from a few people that did reach out and share their stories, but didn't want to speak publicly. One tenant shared with me how she was forced to move back in with her parents and move out of her apartment. Her and her husband had both lost their jobs at the beginning of the pandemic, and they have 3 small children. They turned to the gig economy for a while, but it wasn't enough to keep them afloat. So they made the decision to walk away from their apartment. They're now living in a 2-bedroom home. So it's the 2 of them, their 3 children, plus her parents, and trying to put all their resources together. But they have an eviction on their, or they will have an eviction on their record now. So it's going to make renting that much harder. Another resident shared how his hours were first cut and then he was furloughed. Unemployment took over a month to start paying out. And in the meantime, he fell further and further behind on his bills, not just his rent, but also water, electric, NIPSCO, you name it. He fell behind on all of it. He doesn't want to lose his home, and he has taken advantage of some of the programs being presented today. And he did want me to share that he's very grateful that we're doing this, and hopes that he can take advantage of more resources that are available out there. If you are watching tonight and you are a tenant in need, I urge you to please reach out. There are organizations that are ready and willing to help you through this. And if you need someone to just listen to what you're going through, please don't hesitate to find me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, I'm more than happy to be a willing ear. And with that, I'll turn it back over.
Okay, thank you. The next portion is for the South Bend Tenant Association. And I will be representing Mr. Rodney Gatson. He is the president of the South Bend Tenant Association. He was unable to be here this evening. I would also like to acknowledge that I am on the board of that association, as well as council member Sharon McBride. So
Committee Chair Niezgodski, this is Graham. Just real quick, could I get Ms. Govert Conrad's address, name and address for the record? Just, I'm sorry, as that was the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so sorry. I meant to say that, Graham. It's Amanda Govert Conrad, 1015 College Street.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to read some remarks that he asked me to speak about for him. So like I said, he is recovering from a medical procedure. So these are basically his words that he's asked me to communicate. So Mr. Gatson, along with help from Judy Fox, she's the clinical professor of law at the University of Notre Dame, was instrumental in helping to form the South Bend Tenant Association as a resource for tenants who were being faced with evictions. This was spurred by the actions taken of the new owners of the former Western Manor apartment complex that is now known as the Square. The rate of renters that were facing eviction, despair, and leaving many with little options was just intolerable for Mr. Gatson, so he formed this association. His vision was to inform, empower, and notify tenants of their rights, as well as being a liaison between tenants and landlords to help resolve issues that garner an outcome of understanding and civility towards both parties. Because home is the starting place, the South Bend Tenants Association is a grassroots movement fighting for tenants' rights. This fight occurs on both the private and public plane. We commit ourselves to providing temporary assistance to tenants, increasing tenant education, and advocating for tenants. Many tenants are unaware of resources, where to go for help when facing eviction, or where to go if they just need a little help paying their rent to keep them in their homes. Many factors place tenants in these terrible circumstances. Needing a car repair, facing a sudden change in their health, or losing a job can place most tenants in a very dire situation. So the fact remains also that there were some predatory practices by landlords that was being demonstrated in our community. So the goal of the South Bend Tenant Association is to bridge that gap. Prior to COVID-19, the South Bend Tenant Association had partnered with some landlords and apartment complexes to build a relationship to help promote positive outcomes. The association had classes lined up through the public library on Lombardi to inform tenants on how to balance a checkbook, prioritize spending, or how to seek legal advice if needed. Unfortunately, the library closed due to the pandemic, and we had to cancel the classes. Since the pandemic, the association shifted to helping tenants in another way. We organized food drives that served over 145 tenants. The association has also promoted voter registration, informing tenants how important it is to fill out the 2020 census and accumulate intakes for tenants that are in need. We have served the West Side, the North Side, the South Side, and have an upcoming backpack food giveaway for the East Side on August the 8th at Logan Industries off of Jefferson from 10 to 2. We will also have a voters registration team from the county, and we'll be able to register new voters on site. So if you visit our website at the southbendtenantassociation.com, a full list of resources on how to contact the association is provided. We also have recently found a new home at the Singer Building, which is located on Wester Avenue. Mr. Gatson also wanted me to recognize Sandy Outlaw's tremendous efforts to help organize the office. And he also wanted me to recognize Greg Miller, who's an intern from the University of Notre Dame, who has been with us since the beginning and was instrumental in forming the webpage. He is also associated with the Roosevelt Institute. So moving forward, the South Bend Tenant Association will help guide tenants to much needed resources needed due to COVID-19. Many in our community have lost jobs and they are just barely hanging on. So with the collaboration of the agencies here today, we are happy to help get out information to those in need, because we are all in this together. So at this time, Mr. Gadsden would like to thank you for giving the opportunity to present the South Bend Tenant Association. So with that, we will move to the rental and utility assistance. That will be an introduction from Alkina Aldridge. Alkina, are you here?
Committee Chair Niezgodski, I actually believe that you, the line item 5 actually had the South Bend Code Enforcement.
Oh, yes, I'm so
Before.
sorry. Yes, yes. So the South Bend Code Enforcement Landlord Registry by Marlena Jones. Thank you, Graham.
You got it.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Is everyone able to see my PowerPoint?
Yes, and could you
Yes.
please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, please. My name is Marlena Johns, and I'm with the Department of Code Enforcement with the 13th floor on the County City Building. So what I'm going to discuss tonight is just a brief overview or a reintroduction to the landlord registration. And we'll just go over some basic topics. And one of the questions that we frequently get is who is required to register? And everyone who owns a residential property in the city of South Bend that they don't personally occupy does need to register with the Department of Code Enforcement. That does include duplexes and multi-units. But if you have a property that you reside in where you're just renting a room to someone, you do not need to register that property. It's just for if you have multi-units that have multiple kitchens, multiple bathrooms, things like that, then you need to register all of those units. And it does only apply to properties in the city of South Bend. So if it's a Mishawaka property, Granger, or a county property, you don't need to register those. And a quick way to tell if it might be county is if your address has 5 digits in it, those properties don't need to be registered with the departments. So just kind of look for 4 digits or less in the address. The purpose of the ordinance is try to collect up-to-date information about owners and property managers. And that information can be used for many reasons, one of which would be if we have substantial repair issues at a property. Part of the problem is that with the county, you don't get phone numbers and you don't get email addresses, and sometimes landlords don't keep their information up to date. So we'll have a hard time trying to get a hold of a manager or a landlord if there is an issue at a property. So having this landlord registration actually requires that they update their information with us on an annual basis, and then we are able to get a hold of them more reliably if an issue does arise at a property. The registration deadline and cost, properties need to be registered by September 1st of every calendar year. So if you register between January and September 1st, you're registering for that current year. And then January of the next year, you would want to register again. So if we're going to look at 2020, register by September 1st for this year, you're registered through the end of the year. And then in January, you would need to register with current information before September 1st of 2021. And the nice thing is the cost is only $5 to register all properties. So whether you own 1 property or you own 300 properties, it's still only going to cost you $5 to register. And again, that registration is valid for the current calendar year. One of the new things that we have for 2020 is through a large collaborative effort between multiple departments and the city council, is we actually have a revised website that is much more user-friendly, and it will be a lot faster for people to navigate through. And so the link here is landlordregistration.southbendin.gov. So if you go to that, you're able to register all of the properties that you own. There is no limit to that. And next Tuesday, August 4th, from 10 to 11, we're actually going to have a workshop where we will walk everyone through how to use this online portal. And we'll also have a question and answer session at the end. So if you're trying to use the portal and you're having difficulties, come and attend that workshop and we'll be able to walk you through it. And we'll also post the video at the end. It'll be recorded, and we'll post that video at the end to the website so people can review that and just get a better understanding of how to use the website. If you are someone who likes paper, you can also download the form from our landlord registration website. And that allows you to register up to 4 properties per owner. And all you have to do is fill out that form front and back and submit that form with your $5 payment to code enforcement at the address listed here. Or you can come into the department and we can help you. We have those forms at the front desk and we can walk you through the registration process. So if an owner fails to renew a registration or fails to register at all, there are provisions in the ordinance that allow for penalties to be issued. So if you have not registered with the Department of Code Enforcement by September 1st, what we're going to do is we'll send out notices to everyone letting them know, hey, it looks like you have rental property in the city of South Bend. We have this landlord registration process and we need you to register your information with us. And then we'll follow back up on that to see if they did in fact register. And if they have not, then there could potentially be penalties that are issued. A couple of important links to pay attention to is the website that gives all of the landlord registration information. So it'll have a brochure on there, frequently asked questions, the link to the online registration, as well as a link to the paper form. And it also has a link to the ordinance, which is listed just under that. And if you go to the municipal code and you want to read the ordinance itself, what you want to search for is Chapter 6, Article 10, and that'll take you directly to it, and then you can review the ordinance. Also new for 2020 is we have a landlord registration website. So email address. So if you run into an issue, whether it's with the website or the procedure, or you just have a general question, anyone can email this landlord registration at southin.gov, and it'll go directly to code enforcement, innovation and technology, and a couple of other individuals, and we'll be able to screen those questions and then get back to you. It'll be routed to the most appropriate person, and we'll be able to get back to you quickly and answer your questions remotely, which is especially important during these times. So remember that email address, landlordregistration@southin.gov. And then I just have another reminder for that workshop on Tuesday, August 4th from 10 to 11. All you need to do to access it is type in this URL here, and you'll be able to pop right into the meeting and go through the overview of what the website looks like and how to use it and have that Q&A session afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to item number 6, which is the rental utility assistance introduction from Alkina Aldrich. Graham, do you see Alkina here?
I think on the
It
list.
looks like she's here.
Yeah.
Yes. She's in the lobby. It just seems as though she hasn't unmuted herself.
Sorry, I'm on mute.
No worries, Alkina.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Graham.
Hey.
Thank you, committee, for convening this very important meeting, and also congratulations to committee chair, but also now Council President White, and for the full council's support and engagement on this issue. My team's been sort of researching it for a while now. The mission of our team really looks at the most vulnerable residents in our city as it relates to civic engagement and economic empowerment. So we really look for ways to encourage residents to use their own power and voice to move change in their communities, and to really sort of exercise that power and voice also with the council and with the mayor, so that we all have sort of grassroots perspective of what's happening in neighborhoods. And it's not always that we get to see something that we've researched and worked so hard on come to fruition. We look at everything from crazy innovations and engagement. Right now we have a grant for digital engagement with neighborhoods, to basic income pilots and checking out what that looks like across the nation. So thank you again to the council for really pushing this effort, and Mayor Mueller and our neighborhood development team for working really hard on getting this to the finish line. When we first started looking at this critical issue, it was first when the Princeton University launched the eviction lab. So it was the first time that we were able to see eviction data and actually delve into it and do some analysis around what are the sort of variables and critical factors that are driving this issue. And what we found was that nearly 20% of low-income renters in the city spend over 50% of their income on their rent, which puts us around 5% higher than the national average. These circumstances are only exacerbated by COVID, as you know. As a first step to mitigating this crisis, our team launched a pilot with the Volunteer Lawyers Network in 2019, where we offered legal assistance to low-income renters facing eviction. We then went into really using that data again to do a deep dive into not only what the driving sort of variables were, but also to understand what the national best practices were. And I've included a couple of those things in the chat window. So the final report that we developed is there for you to review. This is the South Bend eviction report.
Hey, Alkina, this is Graham from the clerk's office. If I may request, could you also send those to me so we have them as part of the public record?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
So once we did a deep dive into the best practices, we really went with some of the low-hanging fruit things that emerged that were obviously feasible and high impact. One of those things was developing a collaboration with the sheriff's office, and shout out to Troy for Councilmember Troy for his leadership on both sides of that and helping us on that partnership with the sheriff's office. And so the flyers also included in the meeting chat, but the goal there is as the notices go out to folks who might be facing eviction, that they're also receiving information and education around how they navigate that process and what resources are available here locally. Beyond that, I mean, the only best practice when folks are facing eviction is, do you have the money or do you not? So it's direct utility assistance and direct rental assistance are really, I mean, what I'm so happy that we are able to do through this program, because it was something that was not feasible for us as we looked at this issue earlier last year. So the additional federal support along with the council push really help us to get this across the finish line. So again, thank you guys on that. In addition to legal assistance, the educational resources and the best practices that we looked at, again, realizing that direct rental and utility assistance are the best things that we can do. Given the extent and need of both of these issues, the city is not financially or operationally, like, we don't have the capacity to meet this need on our own. So again, thanking the council for their support here, but wanting to really push to everyone here. This is going to continue to be an issue in our community as it was before the pandemic. So we know that right now, Congress is considering whether or not to include local government support and also direct eviction support in the second round of sort of responses to COVID. So I would encourage everyone here to reach out to your federal and also state representatives and just really give them a call and let them know that that needs to be there. because if we don't have that support, we're not going to be able to sustain this work. And we're not quite sure of what the full implications are yet. So thank you to Amanda and the folks who are also on the ground working with these families and understanding their stories. Like, again, I'm so happy because we did this work and didn't really think that we would be able to see a comprehensive program come into fruition. So I'm just so proud of that collaboration and proud of the mayor and the neighborhood development team for really being creative with what we had available to make this happen. With that, I'm going to go ahead and yield my time to our community partners so that they can talk about the specifics of the programs and the resources and how you can actually connect with those things. Is Latanya here?
I'm here. Hi.
Hi.
So I'm with Real Services of South Bend, and we have initiated
Could you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Latanya Newhouse, 1151 South Michigan Street, South Bend.
Thank you.
So we initiated a couple of programs out of the crisis that has evolved, and kind of stepped up and working to do a rental program. And it's a combination of programs of working in partnership with IHCDA with their statewide programs, as well as the city of South Bend, the city of Mishawaka, and community service block grant funds that I manage locally at Real Services. We've dedicated a portion of our COVID cares funds for that as well. So families below 200% or 80% of AMI can apply for those funds through accessing our website. We'll have a web portal available in the next day or so. We just got a draft of it yesterday, so we want to make sure we get all the kinks out. But families can either call 284-2060, or they can email us at rentalassist@realservices.org. That was rentalassist@realservices.org, and inquire about application. We have begun to work with families, calling them back, and getting them kind of set up for gathering information so that we can begin initiating that help. Additionally, we, as I mentioned, we are working with the state of Indiana, and so we're also processing applications through IHCDA through 2 programs that's available through the state, Get Housing Now. Did you need more information than that?
I was going to say, is that the end of your presentation?
Yeah, unless you had questions or you want more, I can give you more.
Yeah, we'll have questions, I think, once all the speakers get through. I thank you so much. Elkina, did you want to introduce the next speaker?
Sorry, hadn't realized that was actually my full role here.
If it is not, I can move down the list.
Well, if you could, because I don't have the agenda in front of me. I was trying to email Graham.
Okay. Then no problem. Our next speaker then is Ann Watson. She is the executive director of St. Vincent de Paul. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Yes, this is Ann Watson, 520 Crescent Avenue in South Bend. And as Councilwoman Nagatsky mentioned, I am the executive director of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, and we are really thrilled to have this opportunity to work with the city and some of our other funders to assist with this program. We have been in the business of emergency assistance in this community since 1904. And direct rent and utility assistance is something that we have had a program with as for as long as we have records for, but nothing to this scale that we knew that would be a problem with COVID-19. We were very thrilled to hear when there was a moratorium put in for utilities and for rent payments to prevent evictions and shutoffs, but knew that the people that we serve would be in danger of eviction and shutoff right when that's lifted for many, many reasons. So we're happy to participate in this program, and I'm going to share with you a slide. Hopefully it will come up. Maybe. Here we go. You guys can see that okay. We have just yesterday launched our website to be able to book appointments for COVID rent and utility assistance. Eligibility requirements are basically that you have to have had a direct financial impact by COVID-19, and then proof of residency in the city of South Bend or in St. Joe County, as we have multiple funders, so we can help both city residents and county residents, and then at or below the income eligibility level that is in the little box to the right. The process is really very simple. We have our online application, and when you go to our website, which is svdpsb.org, which is a mouthful, I know, you can click on the banner that says apply now, and it'll take you to the page with the application. If you're not sure if you qualify or not, there is a screening form at the bottom where you put in some basic information, and it'll either direct you to the application or direct you to our regular rent and utility assistance program that is still operational in addition to this. You do select an appointment date and a time, and you can submit your documentation right on that sheet. And these funds are able to pay up to 3 months of rent and utilities while still available. Launching the website yesterday, officially, we sort of soft launched it last week. We already have appointments booked through the second week of August, I believe. So we're looking at ways to utilize additional volunteers to be able to extend the number of appointments that we have. But I can say that if you are in need, if you get us the documents as quickly as possible, there's a chance that one of our volunteers can call ahead of the appointment and try to work you in earlier so that we can open up more spots for people who are in need. If there is a situation where you need financial assistance that's outside of this, please visit our website, and you can go to our financial assistance page, and the details for applying for that financial assistance is on there, as well as if folks are in need of food, clothing, or any other service, we are here to help. And you can call our main phone line, which is 574-234-6000. We'll have someone live answering the phones Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, option 1, where you can request food or ask questions about this program. And with that, I will pass to the next speaker.
Thank you, Anne, for that presentation. The next speaker is from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, Indiana Housing Now COVID-19, Jacob Sipe.
Yep. Hi, thank you.
Thank you. Please give your name and address for the record, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Jacob Sipe. I'm the Executive Director at the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority. We're located at 30 South Meridian Street, Indianapolis, 46204. I'm going to share my screen because I have a PowerPoint presentation to kind of walk you through the resources that are available at the state that IHCDA is administering. So hopefully you can see my screen here. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay, hold on one second here. Let me see if I can.
Okay, thank you.
How about now?
Yes, we can see it now.
All right, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. IHCDA, let me first just share with you our mission. I know we've been very actively engaged with St. Joseph County and the city of South Bend. And our mission is to provide housing opportunities and promoting self-sufficiency and strengthening our communities. And we are a state quasi-agency for the state and primarily work in housing and community development. Over the past few months, we've been working closely with all of our partners and sub-grantees on providing housing stability and utility resources for Hoosiers that have been adversely impacted by financially by the COVID-19 pandemic. And as Ms. Newhouse was mentioning, Real Services is one of our valuable partners to make sure that we can deliver these services and these resources to our communities. So. First, let me mention the program that we have for homeowners. We do have a mortgage assistance, and if you are an Indiana homeowner and you've fallen behind on your mortgage payment or you're unable to make future payments due to any type of involuntary financial hardship, you can contact the Indiana Foreclosure Prevention Network. This is supported by IHCDA. There's two different parts that we can provide assistance for homeowners through IFPN. The first one is we can provide mortgage payment assistance up to 6 months for households who have had that loss of income tied to COVID-19. Another program that we have for homeowners is if homeowners have fallen behind, but let's say now they're back at work but are still struggling to get caught up and to get current. We have we call it a reinstatement assistance program. And that will help with providing back payment of mortgages payments for households to avoid the foreclosure process. So we have two programs. We have the mortgage payment assistance, and then the other one is the reinstatement assistance program. If you are a homeowner, or if you know of a homeowner who does need assistance, they should visit 877gethope.org, 877gethope.org. We have a lot of material there, some really good frequently asked questions, and you can start your application process at 877gethope.org. And so if you are eligible, I would recommend someone to go ahead and start that application process, and those resources are available for homeowners. The next assistance program that we have is called the COVID-19 Rental Assistance, and it's a portal at indianahousingnow.org, and it is designed to help Indiana renters who live outside of Marion County and are now earning less because their income was reduced tied to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that could be done by a job loss or a reduction in hours. And now also we have additional resources for very low income renters with our Emergency Solutions Grant. And so if you are a renter and you have had a loss of income, please go to indianahousingnow.org and apply for the rental assistance. And like I mentioned, the Emergency Solutions Grant is, we got additional money under the CARES Act. And the city of South Bend also received ESG money. They've received additional $1.5 million. And so we can provide assistance, rental assistance, actually through that up to 6 months. For individuals that just need the COVID-19 rental assistance that may not meet the qualifications of ESG, we can provide up to 4 months of rental assistance of $500 per month with a maximum of $2,000. And that can go backwards or forwards in terms of your rent payment. So we can go back rent or we can go forward. But the max for each month is $500. And the maximum total for any household is $2,000. So we do have a toll-free number that's available for individuals that need assistance, and that number is 844-463-7368. Also, indianahousingnow.org provides some other additional information. There is a one-pager that explains the program guidelines for renters. It also explains for landlords and the expectation of landlords. We also have frequently asked questions document that's up that we've been receiving a lot of questions, and so we've taken those and answered those for you, so you don't have to make the phone call, because oftentimes that can be a challenge to get returned because of the volume we're seeing right now. We also put up a document that lays out all the questions for you. So if you're like me and you really don't like to get online and start an application without knowing what those questions are going to be asked, we have a document there that shares with you all of the questions that you'll be asked as you go through the application process, so you can be ready to answer those when you make the decision to apply. All of this information is available in English and in Spanish. If you need other accommodations for a non-English speaking resident, we definitely can make those for you. The other thing about IndianaHousingNow.org is if you are looking to rent, we do have the ability in the rental IndianaHousingNow.org to look for available units. It's also free of charge for landlords to post their units. If you have a unit that's available and you want to make sure that folks in your community are aware that you have a quality unit, and you can post it there. And so it's a search. You can navigate and look for available units at IndianaHousingNow.org for renters and landlords. There's also additional information there as well related to other resources for example, home ownership. Ms. Newsom also mentioned the Energy Assistance Program. And under the Energy Assistance Program, which is administered locally here in St. Joseph County by Real Services, the CARES Act provides us with some additional dollars. And you can, if you've already received energy assistance benefit this year or a part of last year's heating season, you still may be eligible for an additional $350 if you have had lost a job or loss of income directly tied to COVID-19, the emergency declaration. But you do have to have experienced a loss of income. So you may be eligible for an additional $350 on top of the other energy assistance benefit that you may have received earlier this year. If you haven't received energy assistance, you still can apply. The deadline to apply to is this Friday, July 31st. And please, if you know someone who needs some assistance with their utility, please go ahead and encourage them to apply for this energy assistance program. Now, just because the program applications do stop on July 31st, we will be opening it back up. The program year will start in mid-September, and we're going to provide a little bit more information in the next couple of weeks on the exact date when the applications will start being accepted again to apply for in September. So, and that $350 benefit for those who, again, have lost income will still be available for Hoosiers to receive that benefit if they've lost income related to COVID-19. So, again, for more information on this, you can go to eap.ihcda.in.gov, or you can call 211 and then ask for your local service provider. And in this case, it's Real Services. So, one of the things that we have also done, and this was in a collaborative work with the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions, the Indiana Apartment Association, the Indiana Bankers Association, the Mortgage Bankers, and the Indiana Credit Union, we did develop a prevention eviction foreclosure guide for Hoosiers when we know at a time when you're under a lot of trauma and a lot of stress, what questions should you be asking and how to go through that process of having a conversation with your landlord or your mortgage company to identify potentially a payment plan. And so we've put together a coronavirus eviction foreclosure prevention guide that really just is designed to be a resource for renters and homeowners. We also do have a section in there that does provide additional resources that we've been able to identify across the state that may not be at IHCDA. And I know I've heard a couple of them today, which is great. And we would love to be able to add that to our guide so that our renters and our homeowners are aware of the resources that are out there. Obviously, I think one of the biggest challenge that has come out of all of this is the web that is out there in terms of trying to understand what resources are available. And so we've tried to untangle that web with the resource guide to identify those. And obviously that's very complicated, and I compliment all of you for helping put this on tonight, because without this, I know it can be a real challenge to understand and identify where to even start to look for rental assistance, mortgage assistance, or utility assistance, or food. That's a major barrier for a lot of folks. And so I just want to say thank you for all of the work that you're doing. So the other thing that we have done, and this is really designed for folks that are our local leaders, our community foundations, our not-for-profits, our trustees, our faith-based organizations, our local elected officials. We've created a communications toolkit for you to help you communicate these resources. And we've gone ahead and created all of the material that you could use to post on social media. If you want to do a radio ad, we've already created the script for you to ensure that we're being consistent in how we communicate. Obviously, IHCDA, with covering all 92 counties, it can be a real challenge for us to get the word out. And the best way to get that word out is at the grassroots level. So we created this toolkit for you to share with your community at that grassroots level, and however you choose to do that. And so here at the bottom is a link to the toolkit. Obviously, we'll be updating this because we know that the Energy Assistance Program's application deadline does expire on Friday of this week. So there'll be some other things that we continue to update with the toolkit, but I do want to make sure that you're aware of that. With that, I think as we find it, whenever it's appropriate, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have whenever that is. So thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate that. We do have a couple more speakers to get through, and then we'll ask for input once we've finished. But I thank you for the presentation. We're going to move on to legal assistance, and we're going to ask to hear from Professor Judith Fox. If you could please state your name and address.
Okay, can you hear me there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, my name is Judith Fox, and the address of the Economic Justice Clinic is 725 Howard Street, South Bend, 46617. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the legal assistance that's available in our community for both evictions and foreclosures, if we're talking about housing. But first, I want to talk about the two moratorium that are out there. There is a state moratorium against starting any kind of eviction proceeding that is in effect until the end of July. Then it expires unless the governor renews it, and we don't have any idea that he's going to do that at this point. There is a federal moratorium that allows the landlord to give you a notice to quit on after July 27th, but not to actually evict you until after August 27th. That applies to any federally related housing, the most common of which would be Section 8, or if you have a veterans voucher, but also if your landlord has a mortgage that's federal related on your property. That's hard to find out, but there is a website on the ProPublica website that does provide that. And also the courts are aware of this, so they will be asking landlords. The other important thing to understand is under Indiana law, you cannot be evicted without a court hearing. Now, obviously you can voluntarily leave, but a landlord cannot force you out, cannot lock you out, cannot shut off the utilities or do anything like that to make you leave. I should have started, by the way, and I'm going to apologize for not having done this, by thanking everybody in this group. We've been working on this now for several months, knowing that this terrible day was going to come when we'd have to start seeing evictions. And the council and the city and the wonderful not-for-profits out there have been really wonderful working together. I've been working with Indiana Legal Services, and I think you're going to hear from them in a few minutes, in Volunteer Lawyers Network, and we've created something called the Eviction Defense Program. So we did a training a few weeks ago and trained about 30 volunteer lawyers that are going to be available in court when the hearings resume on August 11th and August Third, I just want to stress the real importance of folks getting legal assistance. The resources I have listed here are all free legal services. There's a lot of research that shows that having a lawyer can make a big difference into whether you get evicted or not. And as Alpina mentioned earlier, the Princeton study, unfortunately, South Bend has some of the highest eviction rates in the nation, St. Joe County, actually. And that has a lot to do with the fact that our housing is too expensive for most people who live here, and that's a larger problem. But there's help out there, especially now. And then finally, before I wrap up, I just want to let everybody know that once we're able to, again, we'll be pairing again with the South Bend Tenants Association to do some landlord and tenant education. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. People don't really know what their rights are. But I also hope that we can continue this effort beyond the COVID crisis, because we had an eviction problem before the crisis. It is now much more severe, I understand, but it isn't going to go away after the crisis, and tenants are still going to need help. So hopefully we can continue this afterwards. But in my final word, I would just say, please, if you are facing an eviction or having any issues with your landlord, reach out to one of these free services to try to get some help so that you're not facing this alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We're going to move on to the next speaker. That is Attorney Angela, is it Hogeveen? Hopefully
it is.
Okay, thank you. If you're here, if you could please state your name and address for the record, and thank you.
Sure. My name is Angela Hogeveen. I'm the managing attorney at the South Bend office of Indiana Legal Services. Our address is 227 South Main Street, Suite 200 in South Bend. And I want to echo what Judy has said. I'm honored to be able to be here and talk with you all and be a part of this effort. Judy has graciously provided our intake information on her slide that she's presented, and we do all of our intake online or over the telephone. Folks don't need to come to us. And as she said, all of the services that we provide are free to those who are eligible and receive services. And I just want to take this opportunity to also echo what Judy said, which is send folks our way and send them early. We are certainly going to try through this effort to have volunteer lawyers as well as ourselves at the courthouse on the day of some hearings, but we can do much more for folks the sooner that they come to us. They should be calling us as soon as they get an eviction notice, not just waiting until they go to the courthouse. There's oftentimes defenses that they might have. Again, our phone number is provided on Judy's slide, and online applications can be made at any time at indianalegalservices.org. There's an apply for help tab, and you can just click on that, and folks will then get a call back if necessary to clarify any of the information on there. And that's probably the best way to get a hold of us without waiting in any phone queue. I think that's all I've got.
Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate everybody's input for this rental resources town hall for this evening. And I know everybody's worked very hard to pull all of these great people together so we can get the information out into the community that needs it the most. Graham, at this time, I guess we will move to the public input if anybody has any questions. Is there anybody waiting that has any questions?
So no, I haven't seen any hands go up, but you could probably open the floor to that, and we could just wait and see if there are any individuals that would like to put their name in the chat here.
Okay.
Looks like we have a Sadie Borkowski raise your hand. Sadie, if you'd like to unmute yourself at this time, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sadie Burkowski. I live at 910 East Donald Street in South Bend, Indiana, 46613. I also work for the St. Joseph County Public Library. I just wanted to thank everyone for providing all of this information. We are already getting people with questions with rental assistance. And I know for us, we're starting to provide free printing, faxing, and copying services up to 20 pages for folks that need to turn in things for applications. But is there anything else the public library can do to help with folks with these programs at this time?
I'm not sure. I could definitely, if there's a way, of course, that we can connect in just the resources and being able to point people towards resources. If anybody has any input, how do we contact you?
Oh, absolutely. I can be reached at my email s.borkowski@sjcpl.org.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chair Niezgodski, the next individual wishing to speak is a Dawn Turpin. Dawn, if you would like to unmute yourself at this time, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, it's Dawn Turpin, 1009 East Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, 46617. I just, as somebody who's like worked in the community before, and this is separate money than what these community partners normally have available for rental assistance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. That's my only question. Sorry, it was real simple. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for asking, for participating.
Chair Niezgodski.
I'll mention that the rental assistance money that we're receiving is under the coronavirus relief fund that the governor issued $25 million under the CARES Act, and so this money is brand new, and it's the first time we've ever done a statewide rental assistance, emergency rental assistance program like this, and so that they had dedicated under the governor $25 million for this rental assistance program.
Yes, and it's been very needed. And I thank you so much for participating in our event today. It's very important for us to make sure we're getting resources out in as many directions as we can.
Chair Niezgodski, we have one more individual from the public, although I do see 3 hands raised from individuals, both council members as well as individuals that have presented today. So we'll get, we have Jesse Davis. Jesse, if you could unmute yourself at this time, please state your name and address for the record.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. So I kind of got into the meeting late, and I had read some of this stuff online. And I do understand we're really concerned and worried about these evictions that could be up and coming, and people ending up losing their places to live, considering we already have a homeless issue here in South Bend. But I was just wondering, you know, the landlords are also in a very bad situation right now, because if people are going to be evicted, most likely they're being evicted for not paying their rent. You've got a lot of landlords around here that actually owe mortgages on properties and have to make a mortgage payment. So if they're not getting paid rent, then in many instances, the mortgages may not be getting paid also. So we could be looking at some foreclosures on the landlord's end. And also South Bend passed a bill or an ordinance several years back where the landlords, the owners of the property, had to have the water bills and utility in their name. So the landlords are also, if those water bills aren't being paid by a tenant and they're also not collecting rent, excuse me, not only can they run into a problem with foreclosure, but now they're going to be on the hook with the city of South Bend for these enormous water bills that are behind for months also. So is there anything in effect for the landlords to possibly help them out in situations where they may be in dire straits? Because if we don't help the landlords and look at that end also, not only might we have a larger homeless problem, we may have another big vacant and abandoned house issue if these properties all end up getting foreclosed on.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Davis.
Chair Niezgodski, that exhausts the speakers list in terms of members of the public, but I do see 3 hands obviously there, and I defer to your judgment on who you'd like to recognize as chair.
And I do not see them. Who is?
There's Councilmember Hammond, Latonia Newhouse, and Marlena Johns.
Okay. Okay, Councilwoman Hammond, would you like to?
Thank you.
Yes.
This question may be for Marlena. Back in January, early in our tenure on the council, I spoke to the past president, Tim Scott, about the percentage of unregistered landlords, predominantly the absentee landlords in the city. And the percentage that he quoted me was quite disturbing. In excess of 15% of the landlords are not registered, even though there was an ordinance passed hoping to take care of that problem. I'm wondering where we are at this point with registrations and what is the percentage of unregistered landlords in South Bend. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I can actually ask for Marlena Jones to speak next if you would like, and perhaps she could answer that question for you. Marlena Johns, would you like to speak, please?
To address Lori's concerns is we actually just this year, actually it was just in July where we had the revised website that is ready for people to register. So this year has been pretty slow just because we haven't had that website available up until now. We do have new for this year that we have not had in previous years, enforcement procedures in place to be able to follow up on properties that should have been registered. So if we think that a property is a register, we do have enforcement procedures now to be able to send to the owners and be able to either get compliance or to issue penalties to encourage that they comply and register with the city. So hopefully with having enforcement procedures in place, that'll go a little bit smoother moving forward. I would say if you want to, I'll try to remember to send you something in December at the end of the year. But if I do forget, feel free to kind of ping me and ask me what the numbers were, because I get forgetful sometimes. And then my question that I wanted to ask was, is there a centralized document of some sort that has all of the information? There was great information that was presented tonight, but if there's like a central, either a handout or a flyer that we could have available to be able to send to residents and rentals, that would be amazing for code enforcement. We have a lot of interaction, obviously, with tenants. And so if we had a sheet of paper that we could hand them that has all of the great information from tonight on there, that would be amazing.
Okay, thank you. I do know there's some resources left on different sites.
If you don't mind, I've already put together a sheet of resources for the court, and I can gladly share that with code.
Thank you.
Ms. Fox is Grant from the clerk's office. Actually, if you'd like to email that to me as well, we can make that as part of the public record, getting it to any agency that requests it as by way of this meeting.
Thank you. I will do that.
Thank you.
I will update it because a few things have changed in the last week, but I will update that.
Certainly. And if there's any information that you're requesting that you also saw, Ms. Fox, during the meeting, again, Grant from the clerk's office, I do have some of the PowerPoints from the other presenters too. I can get to your inbox as well.
Graham, could you definitely send out all of the PowerPoints, and you won't have, there's a recording here. We can all view that after this, or would you need to send a link if you needed to play it?
Yep, either or. Yep, I could do both and actually.
Okay. Thanks, Graham.
Yep. In fact, those who are accessing it either through Teams can actually go into this meeting, and after I record it, it says meeting recorded for everybody, and I think you can go in and check it. But yeah, certainly I can send it to the individuals that are in the meeting.
All right, thank you. I would like to recognize Latanya Newhouse, please, and state your name and address.
Hi, this is Latanya Newhouse. I didn't have any other questions or comments.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is there any other questions? We did have a question about the landlords. Judy, isn't the rental assistant, doesn't that, the money they have, doesn't that go directly to the landlords?
The money goes directly to the landlords. Yes, it does not go to the tenant. And the other question that I saw in the chat that I responded to is that the question that I think it was Mr. Davis raised about the water bill being required to be in the landlord's name. That's no longer the case. The state law changed maybe a year and a half ago. But as long as the landlord provides the information allowing the tenant to put the water in their name, they can do that now.
Thank you for answering that question. I see Councilmember Rachel Tomas Morgan.
Actually, thanks Chair Mietzkatsky for pitching those questions to Judy Fox. I was thinking the same, that she would be able to clarify those questions for us. But that also gives me an opportunity to thank Judy and Angie Hogeveen directly for their role in bringing so many of us together under this important topic. So Judy and Angie want to thank you for your leadership in all of this. Especially wanted to recognize the two of you.
Okay, and so is there any other input or questions before we? And I would also like to say a special thank you to Jacob Sipe from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority for coming here and providing us with so much information that we can use to help, because we can use that, get that information out, and then fall back on our resources. So I think it kind of helps spread everything out. So I appreciate your input today and for coming into our meeting.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thank you everyone for all the great work you're doing. Hopefully we're able to come right alongside you and be part of this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to again thank, I see Council Member President Kieran White.
I would just like to thank everyone for sharing a wealth of information. It's a lot of resources that are available, and this town hall is the beginning to ensure that this information gets to our residents. I would like to thank all the participants. I'm just overwhelmed as I begin to look at the resources that we have at the local level, but also at the state and hopefully at the national level as well. The comment was made that we all have to work together. This is a very critical issue. And Attorney Fox, you had made mention that our St. Joseph County has the highest eviction rate throughout the country, if I'm not mistaken. And so that we have a major issue, not only in terms of facing COVID, but thereafter, how do we deal with this high eviction rate that we have in our community? And so again, hats off to all of the organizers and the guest speakers. I'm going to go back tonight, read through the PowerPoint and make sure I have a clear understanding of all the various resources that are available to help our citizens. And thank you so much for all of your efforts.
Thank you, President White.
Committee Chair Niezgodski, this is Graham from the clerk's office. There is one more question from Jesse Davis. Jesse had another question.
Okay. Jesse Davis, if you would like to state your name and address for the record, please.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. Anyhow, going back to the water bill issue, and the young lady had answered the question, said the state had passed a new law. So I'm wondering if it would be possible to get the council to look at the ordinance or bill that was passed prior, because a lot of landlords in the South Bend, I don't think, are aware of that. And many times when you go to have the water turned on, the water company is telling people that they have to turn it on in the homeowner's name. And if you don't have it in the homeowner's name and you happen to have a sewer problem, it runs you into a conflict in getting things covered under the sewer insurance, because if the landlord or owner doesn't have it in their name for a set period of time, they cannot qualify for the sewer insurance program. And that's the way those programs were written. So maybe we need to go back and revisit some of that and make sure that everything has been changed in accordance with the state law, stating that the owner does not have to have that water bill in their name, because it can also create a problem if someone has a sewer problem, which can turn into a very big expense. Ms. Nizgoski, I know you're aware of what the cost of those can be to repair a sewer. So we need to go back and look at a lot of things and make sure things are written properly, and that people in South Bend are aware that they don't have to continue to carry that in their name. That's one of the reasons why rents went up, was because the landlords had to carry that water bill in their names.
Thank you for your comments. I will check into that to see if it is reflective into our current ordinances that we have.
And Chair Nizgoski, I saw Councilmember Warner have his hand up as well.
Councilmember Troy Warner, comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of reiterate, I know at the beginning of the meeting, the mayor kind of mentioned the new South Bend webpage, southbendin.gov/rent. All of these programs are all listed on there. There are links to real services, links to Indiana Housing Indiana Housing Now, to St. Vincent de Paul, to Judy's program, also to some other rental assistant or utility assistance through the township trustees programs. Are all on that. All of the different community programs that provide assistance for are all on that one web page. So if ever that it would be a great resource. I just want to reiterate that point. I've been kind of checking it out as we've gone along the meeting. So and thank you, Chair, for hosting the meeting.
Thank you, Councilmember Warner, and I appreciate the support and the comments this evening, and all the help that we have all, everybody that is here on this meeting has put in a lot of time and effort to make sure that we can do everything to support people in our community, and I believe that that's one of the most important things that we can do right now. So, Graham, do you see any other comments or questions, or anybody waiting?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. If there is no further business to come before the committee, I will adjourn the committee. Okay. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.